year July 1, 2023 to June 30th, 2024, estimating the revenues for said fiscal year, appropriating sums for the purposes stated in said budget, establishing operating transfers, designating fund balance allocations, establishing the authorized table of organization, and designating those who may make a requisition for encumbrances against appropriations. Second and final reading.
Any discussion on this item? Any discussion? Mr. City Manager, if I can just ask a couple of questions. I don't want this to pass with just looking like we didn't do an investigation, but you know you've spent a tremendous number of time with all of us, because we've all had individual meetings with you, the Finance Department, and looking at this in depth. It's probably been dozens of hours, if not more, just from this council. I mean, for all of us, I know there was probably for me 3 to 4 hours just looking over this budget item by item. So I just wanted to say that. Do you have anything that you would like to highlight, or anything that you see from this budget process that is helpful for you, or something that you'd like to express your opinion?
Certainly. Thank you again to every member of the council who spent an inordinate amount of time diving into the details on the front end of the process, passing the action plan, which let us know your priorities, and allowed us to work with council to try to address as many of those as possible. As I've often said, the budget's a statement of values. You've made clear what your values are, and we're working toward ensuring our resources are aligned with those priorities that the council's identified. There's a lot of good in this budget. There's not reduction in city services in here. We continue to sustain the current level of services that we have. We're able to provide a 3% across the board wage increase for all of our non-represented employees, which is the largest amount we've been able to do in quite some time, and then honor all of our collective bargaining agreements and the agreed to amounts in each of those. Increase in capital maintenance funding, particularly driven by the increased fire sales tax revenue, which is allowing us to address many of our deficient fire stations across the city, and to deploy those based on the population shifts that have occurred in the city. So a lot of good occurring. But once again, we've done just enough to keep our head above water, just like I talked about with the Get Fit plan. There are still significant structural imbalances in this budget, not the least of which is this was the last year that those American Rescue Plan dollars were available to sustain our public transit system. That opens up a $1.2 million budget shortfall immediately next year once those funds are gone. So we've played some of the cards as many times as we can, and it's going to require us to really get serious about that structural imbalance across all funds if we're going to keep driving the other key goals that the council has very appropriately laid out for us. So again, thank you to the finance staff, the department directors and their team for the countless hours they put into submitting very thoughtful proposals, and of course to the council for your work in providing very meaningful feedback and very challenging questions.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone else have further discussions?
Yes, just want to make a comment here that I truly appreciate the work that's been done to put this budget together by all the departments, especially the finance department. I appreciate the time that they spent with me to answer my myriad of questions about this and that and the other thing. I know I've spent a lot of time looking over the budget. I lost track of time a long time ago, I think. But the thing I would say is that this budget is not perfect. No budget is. There doesn't exist a perfect budget out there, but it's a good starting point for us to start this year, and we can modify it as we need to go along. And we've talked about, Mr. City Manager, you and I have talked about things that I would like to see changed, but some of those need to evolve a little bit before that might happen. I appreciate the work that you've done, the work that the staff has done, and I appreciate what we have to put together as a budget, recognizing that next year we may have a completely different discussion. And hopefully we can find some ways to not have that discussion. But anyway, I just want to make that comment. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Spears?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Stewart?
Yes.
McCandless? Yes. Steinmeier?
Yes.
Hobart?
Yes.
Mayor Rowland?
Yes, and the budget under item 23049 is approved 7-0. This takes us to first readings. Madam Secretary, please proceed.
Bill number 23-050, an ordinance approving rezoning from District R6 PUD Single Family Residential Planned Unit Development, District I1 Industrial for the property at 23500 East M78 Highway in Independence, Missouri. Bill number 23-051, an ordinance approving rezoning from District R6 Single Family Residential to District C2 General Commercial for the property at 17422 East 39th Street South in Independence, Missouri. Bill number 23-052, an ordinance approving rezoning from District R6 Single Family Residential, R12 Two Family Residential, and District C2 General Commercial to I1 Industrial for the property at 9400 East 23rd Street South in Independence, Missouri. Bill number 23-053, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of funding from the U.S. Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance, Office of Justice Programs, fiscal year 2022, Burn Justice Assistance Grant, JAG program, through a memorandum of understanding with Kansas City, Missouri, which allocates $61,032 to the City of Independence, Missouri for the police department's use, appropriating the necessary funds, and authorizing for future change orders and appropriations for the same project. Bill number 23-054, an ordinance lowering the monthly automobile allowance for each elected council member, including mayor, from $500 to $200 by amending ordinance number 18574 and repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith. Bill number 23-055, an ordinance authorizing acceptance of the 2023 Midwest High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area HIDTA Memorandum of Understanding MOU for the Investigative Support Center Initiative and related documents of the Kansas Bureau of Investigation for a grant award in the amount of $154,459, making the necessary appropriations, authorizing future change orders for additional funding and/or time extensions, and authorizing certain future appropriations. Bill number 23-056, an ordinance authorizing acceptance of the 2023 Midwest High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area HIDTA Memorandum of Understanding MOU for the Kansas City Overland Park DEA Task Force Initiative and related documents with the Kansas Bureau of Investigation for a grant award in the amount of $153,166, making the necessary appropriations, authorizing future change orders for additional funding and/or time extensions, and authorizing certain future appropriations. Bill number 23-057, an ordinance approving a final plat for Little Blue Estates first plat in Independence, Missouri.
Thank you very much. This will bring us to councilmember comments, and Councilmember Stewart, we'll start with you.
I have nothing that I hear. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Perkins.
Thank you, Mayor. Last week, I had the great pleasure to attend the Civil War Roundtable of Western Missouri, their 30th anniversary. I believe it's been 30 years. I remember kind of, sort of, when they started, I had a buddy that was there and lost contact. And 30 years later, we found each other again, kind of. It was really kind of nice. But it was a good opportunity to meet those folks. They're from all over the metro. They go to different locations, have different keynote speakers. The president of the Civil War Roundtable lives here in Independence in the Boyd neighborhood. It was nice to meet him. It was just a good event.
Very good. Thank you, Councilmember Pierce.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate a couple of things. I had an opportunity, along with other council members, to attend a tour of the Boys and Girls Club. I've never been, as many times I had told the folks there, I've probably driven by there 100 times and never had occasion to go in. I was really impressed with the facility and what they're doing there. It was a good opportunity there. I wanted to extend appreciation to the Log Ridge retirees for inviting us to their luncheon, and that was a good event. And beyond that, I'll just mention that Councilmember McCandless and I, in our effort to try to understand how to be better council members, attended Missouri Municipal League's education and training session back a couple of weeks ago. I found it very helpful. It was a good event and worthwhile of my time. At least I found it that way. So just sharing that information. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Councilmember Steinmeier.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of years ago, I had an opportunity to ride with Officer Mulholland and a couple of other officers. My first time out to go out and supports our homeless community. We found a lady who was in her second day of homelessness. And I have, over the years now, have seen her off and on through our town. Last Tuesday, I saw her on Lee Summer Road, and I because it was her, I saw an officer sitting in the parking lot of the area that she was at, and I rolled up on Officer Cox, Tanner Cox. He was just a delight to talk to, number one. What would you expect from a guy who grew up in Independence? Never left, and he serves this community. He loves the people of this community. He just a really, really kind heart. And we talked for a little bit. We went over and checked on this lady to make sure she was okay. We know that she has some mental health issues that we've tried to help her with, but and sometimes the best you can do is check on them, make sure they're safe, and just love on them a little bit. And he did such a fantastic job. What a representation of our police department. He requested that Arch come over, and of course John Burrell showed up with the social workers. We weren't able to reach her or do anything for her, but at least they were able to be introduced to her, and now we have more eyes on her so that we can watch and make sure that her situation, being a woman, a single woman, and being homeless is tough enough. And as a community, it stirs my heart to know that we have Officer Cox, we have John Burrell, and we have our social workers out there just doing what they can. And even when we're turned away, the smile didn't leave, and just wished her a good day, and they made sure she was safe going down the street. So I can't say, I tell you that because it's been 3 years, and I've watched how our public servants actually go out and serve the public. They have that heart. And we are so privileged in this community to have such a group. Must be just, the fact that they have good leadership and they've had a good example set for them. And so be proud of your first responders. Be proud of the departments that we have that serve us. When you see them, thank them. And that's all I have tonight. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember McCandless?
First, I'd like to say thank you to my fellow council members who voted for a pay reduction tonight. It's our small contribution to the city finances. We have these discussions all the time about what the financial state will be coming up. And folks up here work really hard. They spend a lot of time in the community, and we gave up part of that car allowance. So I like working with you guys. I appreciate your leadership. It is joyful. I want to give a shout out to the Independence School District who put on Project Shine again. I was happy to be there at William Chrisman painting walls. I don't know that I won any awards for my skill in painting. I'm sure somebody had to come up behind me and clean things up, but it had a wonderful turnout. Things looked lovely when we left. I'd also like to give a special recognition to the people who put on the Juneteenth celebration over at the Uptown Market. It was tremendously well attended. The music was wonderful. The community sharing was excellent. Overall, it just showed our city in the very best light, and any opportunity we can to make connections and to celebrate each other is something that makes me awfully proud to be in Independence. I have 2 questions for the city manager. The first, Mr. City Manager, last time we had our study session, the group who had been spending time on the ethics recommendation brought set up meetings for the city council to get together to review that document. And if you would take that opportunity to set that up so we can put in our input and then have a document that we can move forward.
Certainly, be happy to follow up with you.
Thank you. And then my next question is, can you talk to me about how it's going with the utility billing and that transition?
Yes, and again, for everybody's peace of mind, I do want to convey that billing is going exceptionally well. It's the collection of payment, the ability for people to pay that has been the challenge as we move to a new customer payment portal for all city services, of which, most of our customers who make payments are our utility customers. So focusing primarily on that. We now have 90% of the historical customer billing data migrated into the new system. So 90% of our customers have their data fully migrated over. That is important for full resolution of this issue, because that is where one finds their customer number and their account number. If you can't find an old bill, it makes it very difficult to enter a customer or an account number. That is going to very much accelerate the conclusion of this. This will now allow people to access their information, set up their account. So we can't say that this is fully completed and we've made the appropriate transition, but we've made a big step forward in the last time since I presented an update to the council. We also have, through the vendor we've been working with, a new project manager. Our responsiveness has gone up. This is this company's, I can tell you personally, their top priority. So we have their attention focus, which should have had all along, but here we are now, and we're trying to make it right. So we're in a better position than where we were. Still work to do, but progress has been greatly made since the last time I presented to the council.
And so if people continue to have trouble signing onto the new system, they should continue to try, or they should go over to the utility center for some assistance.
The check to see if yours is one of those where the historical billing information has now been added, and you can access that and get your customer account and customer number and account number. If you cannot, please call. It's probably the most efficient thing for you and our customer utility billing staff. So you call. They are working very hard. I want to make sure I give that group the appropriate credit. They have only the responsibility of administering the system and nothing to do with project implementation. So this group's working very hard to try to assist our customers and get them set up. I'm very proud of the time and effort they've put in. As you can imagine, call volume has been markedly increased since this, so that group deserves our gratitude. But please call. You may have to hold a bit, which I apologize for, but stay on the line. One of our friendly account reps will be there to assist you and get you the information you need to get you registered in the new system.
Councilor Holker?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Quick shout out to the friendly faces from the chamber that came tonight. It's sure nice to see you here, and we are going to increasingly need your support and leadership. We've got some really big initiatives that we are increasingly going to need your support and leadership on. So thank you very much for coming. Jerry Winship, man, Nolan Road CID, you are slowly but surely filling Nolan Road back up. But Jerry, you have seen the full gamut from watching it being built the first time around to seeing the full-on heyday to watching it need to be built up a second time. And man, so I don't want to date you, Jerry, because you're just turning 50 years old. But my goodness, we are so lucky to have you, and thank you so much for all that you do. Okay, one of the cool things that was a very small part of a very large budget, but I am very proud of tucked away in that budget that Cindy Gray and her team did such a many long sleepless nights on it with many folks from a little town down south, is a little pilot program that Mr. Walker and I sort of cooked up. And we are going to do some checking up on some landlords that don't like to follow the rules. Good landlords, rule-following landlords, responsible landlords, folks that take out business licenses and landlord licenses and do rental ready and take care of their tenants, have nothing to worry about. In fact, we're talking about rewarding those folks. The ones that don't like to follow the rules and that take advantage of their tenants and that abuse people that can't afford to fight back are going to be looking at some trouble coming up. And,
Thank you.
I want to make sure you hear that message, because you're not going to take advantage of your tenants for much longer. You're surely not going to take care of the city of Independence for much longer. So slowly but surely, we are going to take back our neighborhoods, even if it's one street at a time. That's important to everybody on this council, and that's why we passed this program, and that's why we passed this budget. So I want to thank all my fellow council members for that and that support. Finally, and I don't see Mr. Walker, I don't see Director Heidi here. Is he not in the room anywhere?
He is regrettably under the weather tonight.
Man, I wanted to congratulate him on his new Mercedes that he got gifted. Hashtag van life. His Mercedes Sprinter van that he'll probably convert into, his little RV and tool around Independence in. Well, give him my condolences, will you please? Thank you for all your hard work on the budget, Mr. Walker. Thank your staff, and I'm sure we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say congratulations to the folks that worked so hard on Juneteenth. Did an excellent job comparing last year to this year. Tremendous growth. Tremendous growth. You've done all kinds of planning. I know Councilmember Kendall, you worked hard on that. You helped the team get there, so I just want to do a shout out for you. Great job there. So it was really a team effort, and I just showed up for the festivities. So I just want to say thank you for that. Also, Mr. Walker, I can ask a number of questions. When do we think we'll have the Kmart building demolished? When will we have plain ground here?
I asked for it for a birthday present for tomorrow. There are a couple of things in city code that have to be adhered to. We have to issue the notice to proceed to the contractor. That is preceded by the contractor proving that all utilities have been terminated at the site. But this has been a long time coming, and I would say no later than 8 weeks, you'll see that building fully, to use Councilmember Steinmeier's term, that site fully remediated.
I would just like to know, could I and the council members play a role in helping demolish that thing? I want a hard hat, I want glasses, I want a sledgehammer, or if I can drive with the help of someone, a bulldozer to go from east to west, I think it would just be great. We could invite people, have a barbecue, we could do all kinds of things. Because
I'll come.
People in Independence are going to be very, very pleased. I am too. And Jerry says we might be able to make that happen. So in 8 weeks we'll do that, and then we'll talk about can we make that an event. I think we should make an event of tearing that thing down, because it's been a long time coming, and I think people would celebrate the fact that that thing is going to be gone. And I know with the Nolan Road CID, Jerry, you've done a great job with that group. I know you're working very hard to transform it, and it will be back up to high traffic levels again, I know, because with the Cargo Largo and all the things that you've got cooking, you're making progress, so keep it up. So, thank you. So we'll have to look at making that an event and see if I can actually help demolish the building. So I certainly would take a couple of whacks at it. I mean, just a couple of whacks. All right, anyone else? All right, with that being said, we'll call the meeting adjourned.